Hello, what we have here is a Harbor Freight welding cart, and this is what it looks like right here. It's meant for a welder, MIG welder, TIG welder, whatever, and on the back you can put your oxygen bottle. You could use it for a plasma cutter as well without the bottle. It has a shelf, two shelves, one secondary shelf that you see bolted in the middle there. And you got this Harbor Freight. I don't work for Harbor Freight. I'm not sponsored by Harbor Freight, but either way, this is where I got it. It was $39.99 online. They must have had some type of sale, and I got it for $37.99. What I'm going to do is put this thing together, because it goes together just as shown, and with the exception of one thing. And I'll show you what I do to make it work for what I'm going to do with it. And but we're going to put it together first, and once it's together, we'll see what it looks like, and then I'll show you what, because I bought two of them. I have two different reasons or purposes I'm going to use them for, and I'll show you what it looks like together, and then I'll show you what it looks like with my purpose, what I'm planning on doing, and then I will do the modification that made it to how I'm going to use it. Okay, that's the extent of the assembly on the initial cart itself. The shelf here goes inside here, and like the picture, it's like midway there. So, and then here's where the chains will go. And you would have your one bottle that's sitting here for MIG gas, TIG gas, whatever process you're using. So I'm not going to be using that here, and I'm not using that shelf there. So, and during the assembly, I used two 10mm wrenches. This one's a ratchet wrench, it's my preference. And they don't have lock washers or nothing, so they are a fine thread, but I did use the light Loctite. And the wheels are just cotter pinned on there. Actually, pretty sturdy wheels, and the front casters seem to be pretty sturdy as well. They're actually a little bigger than my little cart here that I bought at the welding shop. So here's the other cart. Get out here where we can see it. So like I say, there is the shelf that normally goes in there. I put on the back and turn it sideways so it holds 2 bottles. And the chains, I utilized both chains, but one for each bottle. And what this is going to be, like I say, I bought 2 carts. This is going to be a cutting station cart, and I have my oxy and acetylene, and I have the hose wrapped on the one side. And what I plan on doing is getting a plasma cutter. Will sit on a shelf, and all the plasma cords will hang on that side. And then I still have the lower shelf for whatever I want to use. And for about $4 in hardware, I got these little 1/4-inch hooks and double nutted in the back holes. These holes were already here. Just what I'll do is I'll take those bolts out that I installed in the video, if you noticed, and put one on each side. And then I drilled one hole in the middle, a 1/4-inch hole, and bolted both pieces of chain. And they come through and they wrap around and just hook on there, and that holds the bottles. Underneath, you can't see in there, but I used a 4x4 block of wood, and I just painted them black, and I cut them so they're tall enough to give me just a little bit of clearance between the shelf and the wheel. And then I used a 3.5-inch long carriage bolt and drilled through and bolted it. There's 2 underneath the bottles, and there's 2 right here. And that holds the shelf really sturdy. And the whole thing is really pretty stout. So that'll be my cutting station with a plasma cutter at some point. And then that cart there, I'm going to use, after I modify it, my MIG welder will sit up here. And at some point I'll have a TIG welder, and I'll just set it under here. Now whether I add something in here, because there's a lip, about a 2.5-inch lip, and so I may add something later on, or if they can, it'll just sit in there and just sit up on top of that little ledge. And I'll have my straight bottle of argon for TIG welding, and I'll have my MIG bottle of argon CO2 mix. So here are the tools for the modification: 1/4-inch wrench, 12-inch block of wood. Here's the 1/4-inch bolt. I believe that's 1 inch. Here are the 2 hooks and the 3/4 carriage bolt. 1/4-inch carriage bolt, 3.5 inches long. Drill bit is the next size up from 1/4-inch. Ruler, pencil. And I will need a hammer. When I slide them in, they're pretty snug, and I used a hammer to drive that down, and it locks it in. And is optional, can of black paint to paint the block. So, and we'll get ready to do the modification here real quick.